Hey, what's going on, guys? Since UFC 296, where Leon Edwards dominated Colby Covington to defend his welterweight title, there's been a lot of talk about who's the number one contender. There's been talk of Belal Muhammad. There's been talk of Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Leon Edwards had some things to say at the post-fight presser for UFC 296. And he was kind of saying, you know what, I don't really think Belal or Shavkat deserve it. Then his coach went on the MMA Hour and said some outright delusional things in regards to Belal Muhammad. And honestly, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and they're going to say, context, Joey, context. I feel like Leon Edwards and his team is ducking Belal Muhammad. And we're going to take a look at clips from the MMA Hour, clips from the post-fight presser. And I know if you add context, it doesn't sound as bad. But we're going to take a look, and I'm going to explain to you why I still consider this ducking. And then also, we're going to take a look at an interview Belal Muhammad did recently since UFC 296. And I'm going to explain to you why I want Belal Muhammad as a UFC welterweight champion and why you should probably want him too. And then also, I'm going to give an early prediction for Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad if it does in fact happen. And also, I'm going to tell you this right now, and we're going to break down this theory at the end of this video. I think the UFC is going to try to screw Belal Muhammad badly, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Let's start right away with Leon Edwards at the UFC 296 post-fight presser when asked if Belal Muhammad should end up being next. If you listen to him here, he's asked pretty clearly, well, it looks like Belal's next. Let's see what he has to say.
You can deal with your emotions after, and I was able to do that.
Dana was here earlier. It kind of seemed like Belal Muhammad would be next, being that he's the backup and all that. But Dana said, I'm not ready to make that decision right now. Yeah. Do you see it as like he should be next? Does that feel like an unfinished chapter? Or do you
real quick, I already did a video on Dana White's hypocrisy. I'll link that video down in the description where he said, I'm not thinking about that right now. Meanwhile, he promised Colby Covington the title shot in the post-fight presser for UFC 286 where Leon defended against Kamaru Usman early this year. I will link that video down in the description if you want to go check that out. But let's listen to Leon's response.
You feel like maybe there's other options?
Nah, definitely other options,
What are these other options? I would love to know that. I wish someone would have asked him that. But let's listen to what he says.
I don't feel like Belal should be next.
I don't feel like Belal should be next. I don't feel like Belal should be next. This guy's embarrassing himself. Embarrassing himself because he was in this same situation. But we'll break that down a little bit later.
I've done it before. I've won like 10 fights in a row, didn't get a title shot.
Let me just cut him off right there. I've won 10 fights in a row, and I didn't get a title shot. Leon Edwards went on a 10-fight unbeaten streak with one no contest against Leon Edwards. Or against Belal Muhammad. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 10-fight unbeaten streak, so 9 wins, 1 no contest against Belal Muhammad, and he got a title shot. His last win was against Nate Diaz before the title shot, who was unranked, by the way. Belal Muhammad's on a 10-fight unbeaten streak with 1 no contest, that 1 no contest being against Leon Edwards. And this is the justification for why Belal doesn't deserve a shot, even though Leon did with a weaker resume. But let's continue.
So what makes him different or more privileged, So
he got the title shot. I don't understand why Leon said, I fought 10 fights and I didn't get a title shot. You literally did. And I don't know if he's referencing, he was scheduled to fight Jorge Masvidal before he got the title shot. Well, he wanted that fight desperately. So that's why he got that fight, regardless of the win streak that he was on. But Jorge pulled out, and they said, okay, well, we're going to give Leon the title shot.
Colby's already skipped the line already, so let's see who's next. And
to compare Belal Muhammad, 10-fight unbeaten streak, last 4 wins, currently still ranked in the top 10 of the welterweight division, to Colby Covington, who sat out for 2 years in witness protection, has 0 wins against the current ranked top 15. To compare that as like Belal is the same deserving of a welterweight title shot as Colby was, deserves a kick in the teeth, to be quite honest.
Well, like I said, I am. This is Rocky's era. This is my era now, and I always keep training, whoever's next. Doesn't matter, they're all similar styles anyway. All boxers, wrestlers, and this is what I'll build my career on it. So whoever comes next is whatever.
Nice. So there he goes. Whoever comes next, it is what it is. This is where they almost try to make it seem like they're not ducking somebody. Like, I don't think he deserves it, but, look, he's only on this win streak, and we already had Colby skip the line like Belal would be skipping the line. And then he says, but whoever the UFC says comes next, comes next. What he's trying to do is set the narrative. whether it is to get a message to the UFC, whether it is to get fans to rally behind his cause. He's trying to set a narrative, and we're going to look at what his coach did, which I thought the coach on the MMA Hour was completely embarrassing the way he tried to set the narrative. But just because you then end the statement with, oh, I'll fight with whoever the UFC wants me to, it doesn't change the fact of what you're trying to do here. And then he was asked about Shavkat. Let's take a listen to what he has to say about Shavkat.
Yeah, I did. It looked alright, you know. I think Wonder Boy is kind of getting past it a little bit. He's like 40 years old. And
so he's already playing down Shavkat's win. What he's saying here is accurate, but it just goes to show, oh, so he doesn't want to fight Belal. He doesn't want to fight Shavkat either. Those are the two contenders in the division.
Obviously, he went out there and did what he did, but yeah, if he's whoever's next, I don't care, you know. So like I said, this is my era. My aim now is to beat George record.
So there you go. He says whoever it is, I'll fight whoever's next. But it's just funny to act like Belal or Shavkat aren't concrete. The only two contenders in the welterweight division is crazy. And then lastly, here's him again trying to set the narrative and say, you know, well, we need some new guys. We need some fresh competition. Let's listen.
I'm good everywhere the fight goes, you know. And these guys, I've fought these guys my whole career, boxing, wrestling kind of style. They're all, like, from now to my next 3 fights, they're all similar. Belal's gonna be exactly the same, wrestling, boxing. They're all Usman, Kobe, they're all the same, you know.
If they're all the same, then why you want to be like George St. Pierre? Have the UFC line them up and you'll knock them down. They're all the same.
You know, I feel like we need some new challenges and new different styles to bring more out of me, you know.
We need new styles and new challenges. Again, doesn't want to fight Shavkat, doesn't want to fight Belal. We need some new Who are you going to fight? What are you asking for Wonderboy too? You want the dead corpse of Wonderboy Thompson? Is that what you want? I just don't know. Like, I wish someone would have asked him, well, who else is there? Who else is in the division right now? Who else would you like to fight? He plays it off as they're all the same. Like, oh, I beat one of them, I'll beat all of them. Like, what do you want to fight Kamaru Usman again? I don't understand. He's still the same, if you want to say that. But I want to look at Leon Edwards, because I really want to show his hypocrisy here. Let's look at Leon Edwards, the post-fight press conference for UFC 263, where he just came off a win over Nate Diaz. You know, the washed-up, lightweight Nate Diaz. Let's see what he had to say in regards to him deserving a title shot. Keep in mind, this is like a year before, or a little over a year before, Leon gets his title shot against Kamaru Usman. Let's listen to what Leon has to say.
What do you think? I feel I should be next to the title shot. Like, that's 9 in a row, 10 in a row. Like, there's no one else that's doing what I'm doing, you know.
That's 9 in a row. That's 10 in a row. I deserve a next shot. What do you think?
Offered to fight everybody, Hamzat, Diaz, Belal. These guys never like in the top 10, you know. And I'm one that's saying yes. Everyone else is like bitching and sitting out and complaining. I'm one that's showing up.
That is true. You can go back on my channel. I advocated for Leon getting a title shot. That's why I hate what he's doing right now. Everyone wrote Leon off because they said, oh, well, his resume isn't that good and blah, blah. Leon had accepted fights with Khamzat Chimaev 3 times, December, January, and March of 2020 to 2021. So it was December of 2020, January 2021, March of 2021. He accepted all these different fights. And that's why he didn't have the quality resume that he really needed to kind of stamp that #1 contender spot. But there was no one in the division that deserved a shot more than him. Because even though it wasn't the best names on his resume, he still had this long win streak. And even though he's not some big star, some big pay-per-view draw, he still deserved the title shot. And guess what? He got his title shot. And that's what's so annoying is he is in the same position at this point in time, where you're looking at him right now at the UFC 263 post-fight presser. He's in the same situation as Belal Muhammad is right now, except Belal Muhammad has a really good resume with a 4-fight win streak, all contenders still ranked in the top 10, the last 4 opponents. 4 wins, all ranked top 10 as it stands right now. You have Wonderboy Thompson, you have Vicente Luque, you have Sean Brady, and you have Gilbert Burns. All ranked in the top 10 right now, and he deserves the title shot. 10-fight unbeaten streak. But there's just the hypocrisy. See, 2 years ago, or whenever this was, UFC 263, June 12th of, I believe this was 2021, he's saying, what else do I have to do? I'm on a 10-fight winning streak. He was on a 10-fight unbeaten streak. But nonetheless, he's saying he deserves the shot. Now let's listen to Leon Edwards' coach, who went on the MMA Hour And some people were saying this was taken out of context. We're going to listen to pretty much the full statement. I'm going to react to it. But regardless of how you want to look at it, I think this is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever heard a coach ever say, ever, in the history of the sport. Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic there, but let's listen to what he has to say.
Okay. And by the way, regarding his return, is Belal next in your opinion, or do you want him to go in a different direction?
It has to be Belal, first off, Ariel. It needs to be Belal.
Well, we don't know, do we, Ariel? Because
we do know. We do know he has earned his shot. And we're going to, I think I already told you guys in the beginning, we're going to listen to Belal Muhammad. He did an interview since the fight. We're going to listen to what he has to say when he's talking about his potential path as a welterweight champion. But let's listen to this.
Dana didn't announce that it would be Belal. So we're just as bewildered as you. If it's Belal, so be it. We've had a feel of him already. We know what he's about. He has improved, but if it's Belal, it's Belal. But you never know with these people. Shafkat, he had the foot injury, so I don't think he'll be ready for April. Maybe not.
So if Shavkat's not ready, the only other option is really Belal. But you can see he's like, we don't really want Belal.
Belal will be ready to go. But will Leon and Belal really be a big pay-per-view?
Will Leon Belal really be a big pay-per-view? I just can't stomach this, because you're using the same talking points that were used to discredit Leon to now discredit another fighter. Well, he doesn't really draw pay-per-views. If that's the case, if what Leon Edwards' coach is saying, well, the only thing that matters is how many pay-per-view buys you can draw. Well, if you look at the welterweight division right now, you need to strip Leon Edwards of the belt, give it to Ian Machado Gary, and have him defend it against Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington. Because those are the biggest fights you can make in the current welterweight division, in my opinion. If you're just basing title fights off of pay-per-view drawing power, using the same things to discredit your fighter, using them against someone else, that's completely embarrassing. But it gets worse. Believe me, it gets worse.
Got to look at it from the business point of view, from the UFC's point of view. Who else could fit the script?
There's nobody.
Who else could we go for? Belal.
But he comes up with a name. Don't worry, he comes up with a name.
Who else is in the picture? Shafkat.
Yeah, as far as unless they pull like a rabbit out of their hat, it's Shavkat. It's there's really no one else. I mean, unless they try to get freaky and do Ian Gary. But
by the way, Ian Gary would be a bigger fight, but watch him shut that down, because they don't like Ian Gary. Ian Gary used to train at the gym. They don't want to fight Ian Gary, even though that would be the biggest fight business-wise in the division right now for Leon Edwards if he was the state champion, if that makes sense. But yeah, he shuts that down real quick too. But watch the name he comes up with.
I don't think that's happening.
Nah, I don't think that. Not yet, anyway.
Would you have a preference?
Preference? Well, let's put it real. Bilal's earned his place, hasn't he? Even though he
So now he's kind of like backtracking a little bit. Belal has earned his place 100%. But we'll talk about it in a second. Let's listen to what he's saying.
He still hasn't done what Leon did. It didn't go through the tribulations Leon did. But you know what?
He didn't go through the tribulations Leon did. When I heard this, and we're going to get to the name, I forgot he even said this, but I pre-watched this, obviously. He didn't go through the tribulations that Leon did. Let's take a look at Leon's win streak on the road to the title. Let's see who he beat. He beat Vicente Luque back in 2017, Brian Barberina back in 2017, Peter Sabata back in 2018, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, a blown-up lightweight in 2018, and a dead body at that point, Gunnar Nelson, Rafael Dos Anjos, the only good win, and then no contest against Belal Muhammad, and then a win over Nate Diaz. That is Leon Edwards' resume up until the title shot. Literally one good win against RDA, and that's not even that great of a win because RDA doesn't belong at welterweight. Let's look at Belal Muhammad's resume real quick. If you look at Belal Muhammad's resume, I mean, let's just go over the last 4 fights, which I already mentioned. Gilbert Burns on short notice coming off the couch when Gilbert Burns was in shape. Sean Brady just looked better than ever against Kelvin Gastelum. Vicente Luque and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Vicente Luque in the prime of his career at the time Belal beat him. And Wonderboy Thompson, it was back in 2021. That's a decent win. That's an okay win today. But Belal Muhammad, without a doubt, pre-title shot for Leon Edwards, the resumes aren't even comparable because Belal Muhammad has had a much tougher path to the title. So I could not believe he said that. But let's let him carry on with his thoughts.
Is earned himself his contendership. To be honest, if I really had a choice, but
oh my, here it comes.
I don't think it will happen. I would like Leon to fight Burns, but Burns had two bites of the cherry. I think maybe they'd want Burns maybe to have a couple more before, if he was going to be a contender for Leon. But if I had a choice, who would be next? I would prefer Burns.
Burns. He wants Gilbert Burns, who just got the brakes beat off him by Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad beat up Burns so bad that people used the injuries that he suffered in the fight to excuse away the performance by Belal Muhammad. Gilbert Burns came out of the Belal Muhammad fight like he had gotten ran over by a car. And people used that performance to discredit Belal's win, or used those injuries to discredit Belal's win. And now Leon Edwards is coach. Yeah, I'd like to see it against Burns. Let's listen to why he wants Burns.
Over Belal. Because I think Burns brings more to the table than Belal.
What does he bring to the table more than Belal? I know he's not talking skill-wise. And drawing power, to act like Gilbert Burns is some type of draw? Absolutely not. And this narrative by people that Belal isn't a draw, so therefore he doesn't deserve a title shot. Leon Edwards and Belal are like on the same plane in terms of drawing power. You know, I even talked about it. Colby Covington is a very, very low-tier draw. When he fought Jorge Masvidal, where Masvidal was the A side, they did less than 400,000 pay-per-view buys. Leon Edwards versus Colby, we don't have the pay-per-view numbers, but I would say max they did maybe 500,000 pay-per-view buys. So it's not like we're talking like Leon Edwards versus the right opponent's going to do 1 million pay-per-view buys or 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. It's going to do in the same ballpark as whatever fight is going to be against Belal Muhammad, to be quite honest. But let's let him carry on.
Because Leon's I shouldn't say that. He had the...
Yeah, you shouldn't say that. He was going to say that Leon's beaten Belal.
No contest against Belal. It looked like, you can't judge it by the first round totally, but it looked like Leon obviously had the first round locked down with Belal.
Let's apply that same logic to, I don't know, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, the rematch for the title, the first title fight between Usman and Edwards. Let's just go off the first 4 rounds. Who did it look like was going to win that fight? Who did it look like won that fight? Oh, it looked like Kamaru Usman won that fight. But guess what happened? There was a head kick KO in the 5th round. Leon Edwards and Belal fought for one round, and one thing that is consistently forgotten about, and it drives me up a fucking wall when people talk, well, Leon was outclassing him in the first round. Well, first off, it doesn't matter. That's 1 round. Leon Edwards took that, or not Leon Edwards, Leon Edwards too. Belal Muhammad took that fight on short notice. Leon Edwards was scheduled to fight on that March date against Khamzat Chimaev, and I think 3 or 4 weeks out, Khamzat was pulled from the fight. Belal Muhammad off the couch, in on short notice to fight Leon Edwards. And also keep in mind, that was damn near 3 years ago, okay? So to act like because you won one round, all of a sudden, we don't want to see the Belal fight. We don't need to see Belal. We'd rather fight Gilbert because it brings more to the table.
And he was going in for the kill in the second until the eye poke occurred, you know? But but if I had a choice overall, I would like Burns, but we'll take whoever they throw at us, Ariel.
Okay. So there he goes at the end. We'll take whoever they throw at us. And what this is, and people are saying, oh, listen, they said this, you know. This is just a way to make it look like they're not ducking someone. What both Leon Edwards and his coach are doing is trying to set the fan narrative and trying to send a message to the UFC, look, we want to fight someone else other than Belal. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to encourage anything other than that Belal fight. For whatever reason you want to say, you know, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I'll tell you right now, they want Gilbert Burns because Gilbert Burns is a much more manageable opponent than Belal Muhammad. Gilbert Burns is a much easier win than Belal Muhammad. That is the reason they're saying Gilbert Burns, but that is just a joke. And then I just can't get over the fact they're using the same things, the same talking points that were used to discredit Leon Edwards on his rise up the ladder are being used against Belal by them. That's the ultimate embarrassment and hypocrisy if I've ever seen it. And I want to compare it to this. And we're going to take a look at what Belal Muhammad had to say recently as well. But we'll compare it to this. There is contenders who will be about ranked like number 10 to number 15. And they'll complain, nobody in the top 10 wants to fight me. Nobody in the top 10 wants to fight me. And they'll bitch and they'll moan and they'll complain. and then they'll finally get that fight. Maybe they'll get a win. They'll move into the top 10 or move into the top 5, however it may happen. Then when they get there, they're like, oh, I'm not looking behind me. I don't want to fight anyone behind me. I'm turning down this fight. I'm turning down that fight. You whined and cried that nobody in the top 10 or top 5 would fight you. And now when you've gotten into that position, you're saying the same thing about the people behind you. So you've become who you hated. And that's what Leon Edwards and his coach have become here. And I just think, when there's never been a more clear-cut case for a number 1 contender. Belal Muhammad has done it. The kid's done everything we've ever asked of him. He stepped in on short notice and beat up Gilbert Burns on short notice. He fought Leon Edwards 3 years ago, and because he lost 1 round, that means that he's not going to get the title shot. And I truly, before we look at the Belal Muhammad comments, which we'll look at here in a second, I truly believe that the UFC is going to try to screw Belal Muhammad. I think his coach is going to try to screw Belal Muhammad, and I think Leon Edwards is going to try to screw Belal Muhammad. And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily think, I'm not committed to say that Belal doesn't get the next title shot. I think there's a good chance he may very well get the next title shot. But what I didn't show you in these clips, because I didn't want to make this video too long, is there was a lot of talk by Leon Edwards and his coach of UFC 300. And Ramadan goes from early March or mid-March to mid-April. So Belal Muhammad will have to have his training camp during Ramadan, which makes him at a much more of a disadvantage than he would typically. And I think what the UFC is going to do is they're going to offer Belal the fight at UFC 300 or somewhere in that timeline. It only really makes sense for UFC 300 in terms of pay-per-views. There's only UFC 300. They're not, unless they put it on Saudi Arabia. I don't think they're going to put it in Saudi Arabia, but I could see them doing that to just set Belal Muhammad up for failure. Leon Edwards is smart. His coach is smart. If I was them, I'd be saying, get me the fight. If we're going to fight Belal next, I want to fight him on UFC 300 because then you get a borderline compromised version of Belal Muhammad. But luckily for us, if that does happen, Belal Muhammad does not even care. Let's listen to what he had to say in an interview. This was post-UFC 296. And I'm telling you right now, Leon Edwards, he said also at UFC 296 he wanted to stay active, but we've already seen the way he's been over the last year or so. This interview and this clip I'm about to show you, this is why I want Belal Muhammad as champion. Listen to this.
Top 5. So the thing that makes the most sense is me fighting Leon next. His team are saying April. I'm down in April. Let's go.
So there you go. Belal's down for April. He doesn't care if he has to do his training camp during Ramadan. He did it for Gilbert Burns as well. So shout out to him. He's willing to take the most inoptimal circumstances. You know why? Because he knows if he were to turn that fight down, he'd be crucified and he'd get thrown to the back of the line. If he said, look, I'm not really ready for April. I want some more time. I just weighed in as a backup. I want a little bit more time off, especially considering I'm going to be fasting during Ramadan. He says, I'll take the fight in April. So already like Belal Muhammad right there.
And Shavkat gets winner.
Shavkat gets winner. Belal Muhammad's already saying, look, when I beat Leon, essentially, obviously he thinks he's going to beat Leon, I'm going to fight Shavkat next. Make the welterweight division great again. We'll steal a line from Colby Covington, him being Donald Trump's Monica Lewinsky. Make the welterweight division great again. Belal Muhammad is not only willing to fight at a disadvantage during Ramadan, he's willing to defend the belt against the up-and-coming contenders, including the boogeyman of the welterweight division, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
And I'm going to fight Shavkat because I want to leave a legacy of being the best welterweight to do it. I'm not going to sit there and be on the sidelines. Oh, I don't want to fight this guy. Where's Conor McGregor? Let me fight him. I was like, no, I want to be the best. I want to be up there with GSP. I want to be that guy. And
this is what I want for the division. Please, this is what I want, MMA gods. A champion who wants to fight contenders again. The welterweight division has been stuck in the mud for so many years outside of Kamaru Usman. And once Kamaru Usman lost the belt, the welterweight division has gone to shit. Meritocracy has been thrown out the window. Belal wants to win the belt. And he wants to fight any and all contenders, including Shavkat, because he wants to be one of the best in the world or best to ever do it.
Yeah, like I've been there this whole time. The guys I fought were all title contenders. Yeah. It's like I was the champion before because I literally had 5 top 10 wins. Those are all number 1 contender fights that they could all fought for the title right after me.
There you go. There you go. This guy, I've already fought 4 top 10 ranked opponents. I've already basically been defending my number 1 contender spot. If Sean Brady beat Belal back at UFC 280, they probably would have pushed Sean Brady towards the top of the division. Why? How much does Belal have to do? How much does he have to do? And and fans sitting here and saying, oh, well, he's not a draw. Do you get a cut of the UFC's pay-per-view revenue? Are you getting a cut? And it's not like anyone in the division is a massive draw. I want Belal Muhammad to fight Leon Edwards next, and I want Belal Muhammad to win because apparently he wants to actually win the belt and fight contenders and not duck everyone. He wants to actually fight the toughest opponents. Meanwhile, you have Leon Edwards and his coach saying, oh, we'll fight anyone the UFC gives us. But at the same time, you know what? Let me try to set the narrative and say, oh, we don't really, Belal's not next. Belal, we've already beat him. Well, it was a no contest, but we've already, give us Gilbert Burns. We'll take Gilbert Burns. We'll probably KO him with a jab. We'll take Gilbert, even though Belal just beat the brakes off of him earlier this year. We'll take Gilbert. It just makes no sense. I'd much rather have Belal Muhammad as a champion than a guy who's kind of being super selective. You know, Belal said, I'm not going to get the title. I'm not going to get the title and say, let me fight Conor McGregor. That seems to be all the rage nowadays. Or let me get a shot up a weight class. I think we can all rally behind Belal Muhammad and say, look, this guy has worked his entire career. He's done everything. The kid's done everything we've ever asked of him. He's earned his shot. Why take a guy who sacrificed so much to be in the position he's in and not let him get a shot at the belt? He's 35 years old. He's already heading very close to a potential decline. You know, if you look at historically, guys after 35 start to decline. So let's get him a shot. He deserves to fight Leon Edwards. It is a compelling fight. Belal Muhammad has gotten much better since 2021, where he lost one round against Leon Edwards, and he deserves to fight. And I'm telling you this, and I talked about this on live stream, but I want to give you an early prediction for this fight. My early prediction is Belal Muhammad by TKO. And I know people are going to laugh, Joey, what are you talking about? Belal by TKO, he only finished Sean Brady, blah, blah, blah. If you go back and watch Edwards versus Colby, Colby should be kicking himself in the nuts. Colby could have won that fight if he actually tried to fight, because he let Leon Edwards fight at a pace that was conducive for him, and Leon Edwards still got tired in the 5th round. Now, I think Leon Edwards put on a masterclass performance, and I think Colby was worse, and I think Colby was scared of getting meme KO'd. But when Colby actually did move forward, which he did like the last minute of the 4th round, and he did a little bit in the 5th round, he was landing on Leon Edwards because Leon Edwards was starting to get tired. If you set a high pace early, I think Leon Edwards will gas. We've seen him exhausted in the Kamaru Usman fight. Now, he pulled, a victory out of the jaws of defeat with the head kick KO, but he was getting tired. I know people blame the elevation, but Leon Edwards historically has had a cardio issue. Belal Muhammad, we know how good his cardio is, coming off the couch against Gilbert Burns. I think in a Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad fight, I think early Belal will be losing. I think he'll lose 1st, 2nd, maybe even the 3rd round. I think Belal will take a shot to land a shot. I think he'll make Leon Edwards work. I think he'll shoot takedowns. I think he'll throw combinations. I think he'll risk being knocked out. Maybe he does get knocked out. But guess what? Come that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, Leon Edwards is going to start to get tired, where Belal Muhammad's still going to have stamina. And I think Belal Muhammad finds a late round finish against Leon Edwards in a welterweight title fight. That is my early prediction for that fight. But I just want to see the fight happen. I want to see the welterweight division. I want to see some activity. And Leon Edwards did say at the UFC 296 post-fight that he wants to fight 3 or 4 times this year. If that's the case, I don't mind if Leon Edwards retains the belt. I'm not a fanboy of any of these guys. I don't know these guys personally. I just want to see the belt defend it, and I hope we get, some semblance of a meritocracy, and the right thing is done, and Belal Muhammad is given the next welterweight title shot instead of Leon and his coach just actively trying to duck Belal. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.